Alright, time to put way more effort into this project than I need to. Hello, I'm Reniel Diamampo, and I'm that Asian kid that sits in the 15th seat. Wave your hand, me. Come on, sit up, wave your hand. I said sit up and wave your hand. There you go. And today, I'm here to present to you how children were involved in World War II. Now, as a child in World War II, you'd probably either be one of four things. You could be 1, suffering at home. You could be 2, suffering at a camp. You could be 3, suffering in the front lines. Or 4, you could be dead. Actually, that applies to anyone in World War II. Or in any war for that matter. Now, because of the war, you're gonna have to start rationing everything, you know, like gas, food, money. Kinda like a college student running low on funds. Huh. You know, that might be me one day. And yeah, no, that's gonna suck. Speaking of college, at the time, the education was pretty bad too. Not like it wasn't already bad. Now thinking about it. Because of the Germans wrecking the schools harder than your ex-girlfriend wrecking your car, school supplies, just like everything else, become limited. As a child, you'd be crammed into a room with a bunch of other kids and have like a few books. And an old white guy as a teacher because all the young teachers got drafted into the war. Oddly enough, that is still just modern day education. I don't know why that's way, and it's really concerning that things haven't changed. Ah, whatever, that's a topic for another day. Because if you don't want to live a life like that, well, spoiler warning, it gets worse. Way, way worse. You see, in fear of German bombing, governments decided to evacuate their citizens, which would be a good thing unless you're a Japanese citizen.
いや、それはおかしいだろ。
Here, let me explain. If you're a British citizen, you got evacuated to countries that are outside of the war, such as Canada, South Africa, New Zealand, and Australia. But I might. I wrestle crocodiles for a living. But what if you're an American Japanese citizen? Yeah, no, you're screwed. Because Franklin D. Roosevelt created Executive Order 9066. I had a hard time reading that. What was that order, you may ask? Well, that order was to move Japanese citizens into internment camps. And when I say move, I mean evict them from their homes and force them to live there. And mind you, this ain't no fun field trip where you smoke s'mores around a campfire. Because you'd be separated from your friends and family and be imprisoned with 1,000 people in the middle of nowhere. Oh, and by the way, the internment camps were prisons. They weren't called that for obvious reasons, but yeah, they were pretty much prisons. And this is all because you're Japanese. Like, that's... is this racist or what? Now, let me tell you one of the worst, if not the worst parts of these internment camps, and that's living conditions. Now, for this segment, I will be specifically talking about one camp, Camp Manzanar. The reason being is because we should already be familiar with that camp through Farewell to Manzanar. If you haven't read Farewell to Manzanar, then I recommend it because it is actually a pretty good book talking about, well, Camp Manzanar. But anyways, so in the camps, people would have to sleep in little tiny sheds. In Farewell to Manzanar, these sheds were described to be made very poorly. As a light source, a single light bulb in the top of the roof. For heat, a single stove, and only a handful of blankets. The walls were in a pretty poor condition too, being made out of recycled wood, which just so happened to be riddled with holes. So you're going to be pretty cold during the night. Speaking of being cold during the night, the buildings weren't even insulated. So during the night, you'd feel like a bomb pop in the freezer. Or in the day, you'd be burning like a rotisserie chicken. And keep in mind, these buildings are crammed with like 12 people. So you and those 12 potential strangers gotta figure out who's sleeping where and who's doing what and, you know, so all that. And think of the children during all of this. Oh, wait. This presentation was about children anyways. So even though you're wrongfully imprisoned as a child, you'd still get education. Now granted, the education is pretty much the same as before the incarceration camps, but there is one difference. Instead of getting an old white guy as a teacher, you got an old Japanese guy as a teacher. That's a positive change, right? Because he's a minority too. You'd also do chores. I don't really know what else to say about that. It's just stress being added to more stress. But wait, there's more. Because don't forget, kids need nutrition to grow. And well, Camp Manzanar didn't have any of that nutrition. You see, instead of hiring chefs to prepare the food, they just got volunteers who had, like, no experience with food. So oftentimes the food would be prepared poorly, hell, even spoiled because of the conditions they live in. And all of that bad food leads to, well, health problems such as diarrhea, fevers, and stomach cramps. So just imagine eating Taco Bell, but worse. You know, I'd say good news that the incarceration camps didn't last until the end of the war, but that took like another 4 years. So yeah, not a happy ending. But hey, what about the kids you said they were in the front lines? Yeah, no, that was kind of a joke. You see, people who were only 18 or over were drafted into the war. Which, I mean, 18-year-olds are still technically children, but they're also technically adults, so eh. However, in Britain, children of all ages were able to join the Boy Scouts or the Girl Guides, and their job was to help spot or report any German air raiders. As for how children were involved in World War II, that's pretty much it. Hello there. I'm tired of editing this video normally, so I'm just going to use my VTuber model to talk. But that is how children were involved in World War II. I hope you enjoyed this video because, like, this took way too long to make, even though it's only 5 minutes long. And yeah, if you have any questions about how I made this video, feel free to ask me. Again, I said seat 15, wave your hand to me, there I am. If you have any more questions about child involvement, don't ask me, ask like a history teacher because, well, I don't have those answers. And if you want me to make a video for you, don't ask me because I won't make one for you. Otherwise, have a good rest of your day, everyone, and yeah, bye.